What started as an innocent kiss cam moment at a Coldplay concert became a full-blown public execution. In less than 20 seconds, a CEO lost his career, his marriage,
Have you ever had one of those moments where something tiny, like just a little ping, a quick message, totally spirals out of control? That's exactly how this whole mess started. It was just one private Slack message sent on what looked like a completely normal Wednesday morning around 11:42. No alarms, no drama. At least that's what everyone thought at first. But here's where it gets wild. Within minutes, that message had jumped from one group chat to 6 different ones. By lunchtime, the hashtag CEO Gate was everywhere. And by the time dinner rolled around, the woman behind that message, someone who was basically running a giant empire, was being torn apart online by complete strangers who didn't even know her name the day before. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a careless mistake or some bad luck. No, this was a full-on digital explosion. And guess what? She was the one who accidentally lit the fuse. One message, one moment, and just like that, everything she'd built, her career, her reputation, started to come crashing down faster than her assistant could even lock the office doors. Now, I'm not here to just drop another viral scandal for you to scroll past tomorrow. This story, it goes way deeper. That one Slack message, it turns into a full-blown corporate wildfire, one that ends up consuming everyone involved. There are no winners here. No one walks away unscathed. So stick around. I promise, every twist, every fallout will blow your mind. Because if there's one thing this story teaches us all, it's that there's no such thing as a private message anymore. Spoiler alert, the internet remembers everything. Lob, the setup, the public persona. Kristen Cat was the kind of executive people whispered about in elevators. Not out of fear, but out of genuine respect. As the head of HR at one of the most influential fintech firms on the East Coast, she didn't just write the rulebook, she was the rulebook. Boardrooms went silent when she walked in, her presence commanding attention without raising her voice. Her LinkedIn profile read like a corporate fairy tale. Ivy League degrees, 5 promotions in just 6 years, and a reputation for solving problems before anyone else even noticed them. She was the fixer, the calm in every storm, the woman who knew exactly what to say to turn tension into teamwork. Power suits tailored to perfection, polished statements delivered with flawless confidence, and a meticulously curated Instagram feed showcasing charity galas, industry panels, and serene coastal weekend getaways. To the outside world, she was poised, polished, untouchable, the embodiment of success and control. But beneath that glossy veneer of corporate perfection, the cracks were already forming. A blurred boundary here, a questionable late-night message there, small things no one else noticed yet. Her calendar was still color-coded, but the margin notes were starting to shift. Reminders not just for meetings, but for apologies she hadn't made, and truths she hadn't told. Her famously composed voice had started to carry just a trace of something else. Not quite fear, but a flicker of uncertainty. Of a woman who'd been balancing on the razor's edge of perfection for far too long. And the woman who had built her career on controlling crises, she was about to walk headfirst into one of her own. One that no amount of charm or strategy could contain. Because when your brand is invincibility, the fall isn't just painful, it's public. And this time Kristen wouldn't be the one cleaning up the mess. She'd be at the center of it. The spark. The one moment that went public. It happened in just 15 seconds. A brief, seemingly harmless moment that spiraled into a full-blown public meltdown. Kristen Cat, the unshakable face of HR ethics, caught on the kiss cam during a sold-out Coldplay concert with 50,000 eyes on her. She leaned in for a kiss from a man who couldn't even bring himself to meet her gaze. The crowd's laughter echoed around the stadium as the camera quickly moved on, but the internet was merciless. By the time the band launched into the chorus, that clip had exploded online, zoomed in, slowed down, and mercilessly captioned everything from HR disaster class to the other woman in HD. Within hours, TikTok was aflame with reaction videos. Influencers lip-syncing to Coldplay lyrics over the footage, stitching in their takes with wide eyes and gasps.
Oh, they did it!
Twitter users spun tangled threads connecting the mystery man back to Kristen's CEO, a man with a wife, 2 kids, and a meticulously scrubbed public image. Reddit detectives worked overtime, digging up blurry photos from past holiday parties, analyzing background details, cross-referencing LinkedIn profiles, even matching jewelry and archived social posts. They weren't just guessing, they were building a case. Every digital footprint Kristen thought she had buried was now front-page content for an online court with no rules and no mercy. By the next morning, her name trended globally, not because of a promotion or a keynote speech, but because of a moment she couldn't take back. Overnight, Kristen Katz's carefully crafted career dissolved into a viral spectacle. No longer just an executive, she was now a scandal in heels, broadcast in unforgiving 4K resolution with millions watching, commenting and judging, all from the front row of this very public downfall. Reporters circled like vultures. Her inbox, once reserved for corporate strategy memos and confidential arbitration, flooded with interview requests, media inquiries and legal department flags. The PR team issued a statement filled with sterile language and no further comment, but the damage was done. And Kristen, she wasn't just trending, she was unraveling. One post, one meme, one accusation at a time. This wasn't a crack in her reputation, it was a full-on collapse. The private fallout, the messages nobody was supposed to see. The public saw the kiss, but what happened afterwards stayed hidden from view, at least for a while. Not the desperate texts sent at 3:47 a.m., starting with a haunting, "Andy, are you awake? I'm spiraling." Not the 4:12 a.m. message that followed, "You can't just ghost me, I gave up everything for you." Over the next 6 hours, Kristen Katz unleashed a flood of 47 messages, each one peeling back another layer of her unraveling mind, rawer and more desperate than the last. "Tell me it wasn't just for fun. I protected you when no one else would. Don't let me burn while you save yourself." The timestamps weren't just numbers, they were a clock counting down the collapse of a woman who once commanded boardrooms with calm authority, now reduced to pleading and typos, half-formed thoughts and midnight confessions. But then the tone shifted, darker, colder, more calculating. "If you walk away now, you're not just leaving me, you're walking away from both of us." Those 6 words hung heavy, loaded with unspoken consequences. Was it a pregnancy, a threat, or something far worse? These texts weren't just cries for help, they were digital landmines planted in the fragile remains of trust. Kristen wasn't merely breaking down, she was quietly setting the stage for a far more dangerous act, one that would turn private pain into public chaos. By 6 a.m. her final message hit his phone with eerie calm, "You have until noon." After that, everything changes. No emoji, no punctuation, just a deadline. And Andy, he didn't respond. Maybe he thought ignoring her would make it go away. Maybe he underestimated how far Kristen would go. But while he paced the living room of his rented apartment, deleting messages and muting notifications, Kristen was already drafting something else, not a resignation, not an apology, but something far more surgical. She started forwarding emails, screenshots, calendar invites, legal memos, pieces of a puzzle only she understood and only she could weaponize. She was no longer reaching out for comfort. She was constructing a narrative, and this time, she wasn't going to be the one left exposed. If her world was going to burn, she would make damn sure she wasn't the only one standing in the fire. The shift, from desperate to dangerous. Somewhere between "I miss you" and "don't make me remind the SEC where to look," Kristen Katz stopped begging and started calculating. The tone flipped like a switch, from heartbreak to hazard. No more late-night pleading or shattered vulnerability. Now every word was a weapon carefully aimed. "I covered for you when the board asked questions. I kept the documents off the radar. Don't forget who protected you when the heat was on." Her messages no longer dripped with desperation, they cut with cold precision. She wasn't trying to salvage a lost affair anymore. She was fighting for survival amid a corporate war zone. What began as emotional leverage mutated into something far darker and sharper. Guilt became a currency she spent recklessly. Secrets once buried deep now stood like landmines ready to explode. Kristen had shifted from lover to liability. Not just a woman scorned, but a strategist in stilettos, plotting moves that could ruin careers and topple empires. And Andy Byron, he wasn't just dodging a breakup anymore. He was dodging a bomb, one with his name etched all over it, ticking down with every unread message. Because Kristen knew where the skeletons were buried. She had access. Internal memos, backdated files, quiet settlements signed under NDAs. She'd sat in on every hush-hush compliance call. She knew the shell companies, the whistleblowers who had been silenced, the offshore bonuses no one declared. This wasn't gossip, it was ammunition, and Kristen didn't bluff. By the time Andy realized the shift, it was already too late. HR, legal, investor relations, departments once loyal to him began asking quiet questions, nervous questions. A leak here, a breach there. Suspicion was in the air like smoke before a fire. Kristen didn't need to press send on everything. She just had to make him believe she would. And in the boardroom battlefield of reputations and stock prices, belief was as deadly as proof. Now Kristen wasn't chasing Andy anymore. She was circling him. The power moves. Everyone responds. The implosion wasn't private anymore. It was structural, corporate, legal, marital. By the time Kristen fired off her 47th message, the damage control machine had already shifted into overdrive. Andy Byron stopped replying altogether and started lawyering up. 2 high-powered attorneys, a crisis PR firm spinning narratives, and zero room for emotion. Then came Megan Byron, his wife of 12 years, who didn't need a press conference to make her point. Her Instagram story spoke volumes. A silk robe draped elegantly, a champagne glass raised halfway, and the caption, "Some snakes don't hiss, they email." No tears, no public breakdowns, just cold surgical precision. Meanwhile, Kristen spiraled deeper into a whirlwind of midnight texts and mounting desperation. Isolated as the rest of the world moved with ruthless efficiency, her once pristine inbox now overflowed with urgent subject lines and escalating legal notices. Even her inner circle, the assistants, the junior execs, the fellow power players, went silent. Phones stopped ringing. Lunch meetings were rescheduled to TBD. Her name had become radioactive. Behind the scenes, board members convened secret emergency meetings. Risk analysts were pulled from vacation. NDAs were reviewed, scrubbed, redrafted. HR departments issued carefully worded denials. Compliance teams ran silent audits through back channels. The air in the office was thick with avoidance. Forced smiles in elevators, locked doors, whispers that stopped when she walked by. The entire machine was shifting without her, and still, Kristen kept sending messages, not just to Andy, but to journalists, former colleagues, even regulators. Some veiled, others explicit. Breadcrumbs, half-threats, encrypted attachments no one could quite confirm or deny. Her grip on the narrative loosened with every hour, as headlines outpaced her strategy, and the scandal morphed from personal betrayal to financial liability. This was no longer about reputations. It was about stock prices, shareholder trust, and government oversight. The SEC had quietly requested internal documents. A prominent tech site had launched an anonymous tip line. Employees whispered about burner phones and internal investigations. And somewhere in the chaos, Kristen, once the architect of calm, was still trying to play by emotional rules in a game that had become pure strategy. The game had changed, and she was still playing checkers on a chessboard ruled by cold, calculated moves. And the worst part? She wasn't even sure whose side she was on anymore. The public execution, meme culture takes over. Then came the internet, swift, savage, and merciless. Kristen Cat, once the picture of corporate poise and control, was reduced to a full-blown meme within 24 hours. Twitter users quickly dubbed her the Garden Snake, after a photo surfaced of her in sweatpants, barefoot and watering hydrangeas, captioned "From HR to horticulture, watering more than just plants." TikTok exploded with a viral soundbite remixing her desperate midnight text to Coldplay's Fix You, turning heartbreak into a haunting, addictive anthem. Meanwhile, Reddit detectives dissected every detail of her downfall like a true crime documentary, piecing together timelines and motives with surgical precision. Screenshots of her messages became punchlines and reaction GIFs. One viral Twitter thread, Kristen Cat's 3-step guide to self-destruction, racked up over 10 million views overnight. 1 point, sleep with the CEO. 2, text like it's fan fiction. 3, become a cautionary tale with a hose. Memes multiplied like wildfire, each one sharper, funnier, and more brutal than the last. Deepfakes surfaced of Kristen crying in board meetings that never happened. AI-generated parodies had her reading her texts aloud in courtroom dramas, late-night skits, even anime dubs. YouTube creators uploaded minute-by-minute breakdowns of the cat collapse, complete with custom graphics, slow-motion replays, and speculative commentary. TikTok therapists stitched clips offering emotional autopsies of her breakdown, while life coaches turned her name into a case study of what not to do in corporate America. Her private pain was now public property, twisted and shared in endless loops. Her face, once lit by soft lighting and corporate logos, was now overlaid with red flags, snake emojis, and the Coldplay lyrics. Tears stream down your face when you lose something you cannot replace. Even LinkedIn, a platform she once ruled with thought leadership posts and keynote selfies, wasn't safe. Users posted tongue-in-cheek endorsements like Kristen was great at crisis management until the crisis was her. Anonymous accounts spoofed her resume. Bots and trolls flooded her comment history with snake emojis, passive-aggressive quotes, and gifs of imploding skyscrapers. Kristen Cat wasn't just cancelled, she was immortalized, a case file in internet folklore. The woman who once commanded boardrooms was now the internet's favorite cautionary tale, cruel, clever, and permanently etched into digital culture. The world wasn't just watching her fall, they were laughing as she tumbled, frame by frame, meme by meme, retweet by retweet, and the scariest part, no one wanted it to stop. The final blow, when the cloud becomes a weapon. The private chaos didn't stay private for long. Screenshots were saved, messages archived, and every digital breadcrumb became ammunition in a relentless battle no one could escape. Legal teams pounced with cease and desist letters and veiled threats of lawsuits promising total ruin if silence wasn't bought. But the damage was already done.
What Kristen didn't understand was that by the time the lawyers get involved, the narrative's already halfway to viral. The woman who once commanded boardrooms was now scrambling to contain a firestorm blazing across every screen and feed, a fire she once believed she could extinguish with poise and policy. Her reputation, shattered beyond repair. Her career, effectively erased from every professional circle that mattered. Recruiters ghosted her. Executive networks removed her from panels and private groups without so much as a notice. Former colleagues untagged her in old posts. Interns she once mentored posted cryptic LinkedIn think pieces about toxic leaders hiding behind polished veneers. Her name, once a symbol of sharp leadership, had become a punchline, a warning, a digital scarlet letter. And her legacy, rewritten, not by her own achievements, but by the merciless court of public opinion, where judgment is swift, harsh, and unforgiving. The TED Talk invites, the feature in Fortune, the panel photos from Davos, all buried beneath reaction memes and TikTok duets. Even the HR principles she helped craft were now weaponized against her in ironic tweets. Emotional intelligence in the workplace, unless there's a kiss cam. The final blow wasn't just a headline, it was a chilling reminder of a new reality. In today's digital world, the cloud never forgets, the internet never sleeps, and every impulsive moment, every desperate message, every mistake lives forever, immortalized in pixels, searchable and shareable for eternity. Screenshots outlast apologies, virality outruns context, and redemption, that's a luxury granted only to those who fall quietly. Control your story, or the story will control you. Because in the age of screens and servers, you don't just fall from grace, you implode in pixels, your downfall playing out on loop for the world to see. Your name becomes an algorithm, your pain becomes content. And trust me, no one forgets. Not online. Not ever. In a world where every word, every message, every moment is recorded and shared, there's no such thing as privacy anymore. The line between personal and public is gone, and the internet never forgets. This story isn't just about one fall from grace. It's a warning for all of us. Your legacy isn't what you build in the boardroom or on the stage. It's what's saved, shared, and scrolled through long after the spotlight fades. So think before you type, act before you react, and remember, in the digital age, your past is always one click away. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the stories that shape our digital world. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay aware, and most of all, stay in control.